Okay, this was one of my top 5 favorite interviews we've ever done.
And why is that?
Just, you guys, the ladies you're about to meet are so charismatic, innovative, smart, trailblazing, gutsy, go-getters, and their energy is infectious. Like, I just feel my cup is full after talking with them.
I was going to use the word infectious too. There's just a spirit of resilience and forward, visionary. There's, a bunch of other adjectives I could use. But anyways, who we're talking about are Hayley and Stephanie, the Painterland Sisters.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a little bit about them. The Painterland Sisters is a woman-owned, family-owned, and farmer-owned organic skyr yogurt brand on a mission to connect consumers with the direct source of their food while restoring the health of the land, communities, and people through the use of regenerative farming practices. Painterland Sisters offers a yogurt that is organic, lactose-free, high in protein, low in sugar, and made with double cream milk sourced from their family's organic dairy farm, and others like it in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
So with their simply yummy and nutrient-dense yogurt, Painterland Sisters is dedicated to supporting American farmers and providing consumers with a simply yummy yogurt. And they're young, you guys. They are 30 and 28, Stephanie and Hayley. And coming from their family's dairy farm, growing up this lifestyle.
And they are fourth generation farmers.
Fourth generation. And then all of a sudden kind of facing a dairy crisis. We need to come up with a product to utilize all this milk to keep their family's dairy business in operation.
Yeah.
And like, I just want to say the rest is history. You're going to hear their story coming from their background, what their life looks like today, where their business is going, because they're in 2,200 locations across the U.S. and in all 50
states, but not yet in Canada. And we're like, we hope they get here soon. But anyways, listen to the story and prepare to be inspired, prepare to get your own brain thinking and think about, like, listen to the message of the overall impact and their vision of how they want to impact the world and, community, family, all the rest of it. It's a wonderful, wonderful story.
You're going to feel good. You're just going to finish and feel good and want to go out to your store and buy a cup of their skyr yogurt. So, without further ado, here is their story. And they were also featured in issue 15 of our summer edition of Trailblazher. So after reading this, if you haven't yet ordered your summer issue, go to our website, www.trailblazherco.com, and grab issue 15. And also I want to add, remember, we're on YouTube, so you can watch the video of our interview with them on YouTube. So enjoy. Okay, we should have probably pushed record like 10 minutes ago. I have a feeling this is going to be like a really high energy podcast interview on the Trailblazher podcast. Just want to say, first of all, welcome Stephanie and Hayley to the Trailblazher podcast. We're so excited to chat with you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, we're so excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, Jan and Aaron.
Our pleasure. So Stephanie and Hayley are features in our summer issue, which is issue 15 of Trailblazher. And this is your story. We throw around words like inspirational and gutsy, and we tell a lot of stories, but there's something that's so special about the two of your story, how it came together, your roots, what you're doing now, and what you've created. And I talk about family legacy. Like, there's so much to unpack here.
I know. I can't wait. Like, I've got a million questions already, but I think where we'd really love to start is, like, give us the backstory, who you are, where you're living. I know you're not first generation farmers, so just dive in and let our listeners understand where you're coming from, and then we'll talk about where you are and where you're going. So it's all good.
So we are fourth generation on our family's organic regenerative dairy and crop farm in the rolling hills of northern Pennsylvania. So we grew up basically where there was more cows and cousins than there were people in our town. And we grew up along the animals, obviously barefoot, running around the land, and really understanding the sense of pride growing up on a farm and with a farming family, being able to work with our family just instilled a lot of different values in us. And as we got out to the world and went to college, we realized that people don't understand about agriculture and they're completely disconnected from the source of their food, which is the American farmer. We all eat 3 times a day, but we don't totally put in perspective that starts with the farmer. And, I'll let my sister Hayley speak. So this is Stephanie. Hi. And I'll let my sister Hayley speak about,
Yeah, so I'm Hayley. Again, we grew up in northern Pennsylvania on top of a hill, but still in a valley, which that's crazy to think of. So we have huge rolling hills around us. And as we were growing up, like a lot of farm kids do, we were very naive that everyone didn't grow up on a farm, that everyone, didn't get the opportunity to feed calves for fun and, hang around their family in the tractors and just do work and, be connected with the land the way that we were. So as we grew up, we started realizing that, oh yeah, I guess everyone doesn't smell like cow poop, like not everyone gets to be barefoot in mud. But at the same time, not everyone gets to have access to the great learning lessons and be so close to the food system as we do. So we're really proud of that. And we didn't even realize how lucky we were till we got out there and got to see the world and then got to see what the world needed, which is more of a voice from that farming perspective. And then what can we do in our little piece of this agriculture world to make it sustainable? So farmers like our family farm in the small to medium scale dairy farm business can keep operating for generations.
So was identifying that need or seeing that disconnect, was that the catalyst or the seed of an idea? Or how did you meander to starting up, which we'll talk about, the yogurt, the skyr business that you're in? Yeah.
Yeah, so we always intrinsically knew that we wanted to come back to our family's farm and figure out how we could help preserve what our family has built, for the generations before us. They built this great base. What can we do to continue that on in our own way, right? And so we got out into the world and we realized, like Hayley mentioned, we want to connect the world to the farm and the farm to the world. So we did a lot of traveling to, over 20 some countries, almost all the states. Hayley, we both graduated college. Hayley had an internship, an apprenticeship making cheese. And then we were like, okay, what is our need here? Like, we always knew we wanted to come back to the farm. We just didn't know exactly what it would be. And so when we really got done with that one, phase of our life, I guess, we came back together. We're like, okay, this is the time. What are we going to do now? And then Hayley, basically our milk became that answer.
We realized that what's stopping our farm from being the same style farm, but maybe even better for generations, is our milk market. The milk market in the Northeast and many places throughout the US and Canada and everywhere, the milk market's pretty unstable depending on the time, especially if you are a smaller medium scale farm, because you don't have enough milk to essentially fill up a whole truckload. And so it was very obvious that our solution was, what can we do with all of this milk so it can be stable for generations to come? So we started thinking into value-added product. What value-added product can we make that can use a lot of this milk and that the world actually needs, so that we could scale at a large enough rate that we can really support our farm and the other farms in our area? Because if our farm's okay, but the rest of the farms go out, that's really not going to help our farm, because it really takes a whole village and community to support each other in agriculture.
Exactly. We did not want to be another statistic with dairy farms going out of business at an alarming rate. We wanted to take control of our own destinies, and we wanted to keep the cows on the farm. And so we went down like, hey, what can we do here? And as we started this journey, we've pivoted a lot. But to kind of tie it all up, we partnered with a 10th generation Icelandic yogurt maker. We found out the word co-packer, and we built about 120-page business plan. We figured out the logistics behind that. We presented it to our family farms bank. We worked really hard to, add the credibility to the business plan, cross our T's, dot our I's. We got the loan, and then
got some sister flair.
We developed, talk about packaging. We messed around. This is our packaging. So messed around with, hey, how can we create an authentic brand that speaks to who we are authentically and connects the world to the farm? And we're utilizing yogurt to do that. And so we were developing our blueberry lemon yogurt, and I can't tell you how long it took to like position each blueberry, you know what I mean? So we got past those first things. We launched in March of 2022 into retail, but that was after years of planning and working together to figure out, you know, what we need to do to, again, sustain our family's dairy farm and not be another statistic.
So like that was my question. How long did it take to get to market? Because I think that is not talked about enough. Like that challenge. How did you guys sustain yourself? Like how that like what did that look like for you? And when you say years, like tell us how many did it take?
We started in 2018, like on specifically value added, and we launched the product in March of 2022. That's when we sold our first cup of yogurt. And that was with hand labeled yogurt. So it was really August of 22 that we had like an official product to go to market with. So 2023 was our first full calendar year in business.
Okay.
Wow.
Can you dive in? Like, why skyr? And how did you find your partner? And like, why? Because so Mom and I have had the pleasure. One of our first vacations together was we've been to Iceland, and skyr is everywhere. And
Yeah.
you just any kind of store you walk in, you grab a cup of it, and like we know the nutritional value of it and high protein. But tell us why for you skyr was it.
So we wanted to figure out. We had this incredible nutrient dense milk, right? And we knew that the way that we were farming created a lot of the nutrients in that milk, right? And so we wanted to showcase that and create the most premium dairy product we could. So we chose organic skyr yogurt. And that, again, as you mentioned, very high in protein naturally. So a lot of other yogurts add protein powder to boost up that protein level. We wanted something as pure and simple as, you know, as soon as we milk that cow, how many times can we not touch it until it gets into the consumer's hands? You know what I mean? And really like being we also, you know, live in the United States and Canada, right? Like convenience is one of our priorities, whether we like it or not. It is in us. It's ingrained in us. We're busy. Our society is busy. And so like what kind of products can we offer that real farm to table feel without having to drive to a farm, you know, on a Wednesday after work? You're able to go into a grocery store and get the most nutrient dense product that you can possibly get from a farmer, you know, and I think it's really important. So skyr in general, it's high in protein, so up to 21 grams. We add billions of live probiotics. So we also it's a lactose-free product. As dairy farmers, we want to give everyone a chance to enjoy real dairy. Up to 68% of people have some sort of lactose sensitivity, and in the United States, yeah. And that we wanted everyone to enjoy real dairy. So we didn't cut corners here at all with how we made this product. And it is a premium product and it comes at a premium price, but we want to give people the option to enjoy real food from real farmers at the convenience of their local grocery.
Each cup of yogurt has 4 cups of milk in it. And so that's a very premium way to make yogurt. It's not saturated. And then she mentioned the protein powder. A lot of Greek yogurts in the US actually they use a way to strain the water out called centrifuging. So they spin it really fast. And in that technique, you lose all the micronutrients, all the actual whey protein. So they add protein powder back into it. It does not have to even be whey protein. So I never personally liked yogurt growing up. And this yogurt is so dang good. It's like very different, right? 4 cups of milk, all of this natural whey protein maintained in there because we filter out the water as a technology to strain it, which is developed in Iceland in the 90s.
Oh, fantastic.
And very low in sugar too. So again, just a very healthy for you, super functional food that is convenient. So it's been, and not to mention talking about supply chain, our farm is in northern Pennsylvania and our co-manufacturer is in central Pennsylvania. Our cold storage facility that is the hub to pick and pack our products and ship to all 50 states is in southern Pennsylvania. So we have a very short supply chain. and we're very Pennsylvania proud. We're Pennsylvania preferred brand. And this just goes to show like people want to know exactly where their food's coming from, that transparency. And we add that being Pennsylvania preferred and keeping that supply chain in PA.
Okay. Can we get it in Canada?
No, we can't currently.
Not yet.
I wish. I know. We need to talk to some of those borders and say, hey, can we get our dairy products in Canada? We are 3 hours from Toronto, so trust us, it would help us so much to be able to access that market.
It's literally closer to Toronto from our family's farm than Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. Like, that's how far north in Pennsylvania we are.
Your family. Now, you girls look like you're vivacious, you're go-getters, you're hard workers.
How old are you?
Yes, that.
Yeah.
Do you have any other siblings? And did any other people in your family, like your dad or whatnot, how were they part of it, or were they, or how did they support? Because I'd like to see how you fit within the framework of your family system, and I'm imagining maybe there's cousins and aunts and uncles around and too. So
that was going to be my question anyway, because I want to like that whole brainstorming, like how like was it just the two of you sitting like by candlelight at midnight in the wee hours of the morning? What is this product, or was it like a collective brainstorm with the family sitting down? All those.
So start with mine. Yeah, so tell us.
Yeah, Hayley, you can add to it too, but basically our dad told us like, hey, I have time to maintain the farm, so our dad and his two brothers currently own Painterland Farms.
They're the third generation.
Yep, they're the third generation. And then our two brothers, McGuire and Bryant, and our cousin Jacob also work on the farm full time.
And there is 13 of us growing up, fourth generation.
13 cousins. And so Hayley and I always knew we wanted to be that fourth generation on the farm. We just didn't necessarily know, how we were going to, basically make our mark.
What our niche was on the farm. So we thought about a bunch of different things, like how can we really progress it forward. One of the biggest attributes that we love on the farm is specifically the cow aspect. We fell in love with that in the community and taking the product from the fields and with the cow support to the community. And so we always loved that aspect of it in different ways. And so it really was up to us, what can we do with that goal and with the need of supporting the milk market? What can we do with all those parameters at that large enough scale, which is why we're not making artisanal cheese, because trust me, this is where my heart lives.
So it was Hayley and I really coming together, figuring out what we wanted to do based on our farm's needs. And we got, we worked with some consultant groups, kitchen table consultants that help farmers bring food to market, usually through, we were going to do like an online farmers market, right, in Pennsylvania. And that was going to be like as big as we were going to go and, selling directly to the consumer. And then we kept, basically making more connections and understanding like, hey, we have a lot of milk. We are going to make a premium product. That means that we have to be in specific channels like the natural grocery channel. Think about like Whole Foods, Sprouts, natural grocers, where the consumers there are more apt to be okay with a really high priced product because they understand what's in it more naturally, right? And so we're like, we can't just do things in Pennsylvania. We have to think bigger scale here. And so to kind of full circle back to what you're saying, they are busy with the farm, and we knew they were busy with the farm. They said, we are busy with the farm. You guys go out and do whatever you need to do and let us know what, we can do to help support. So when we were pitching basically the bank on our business, we were essentially pitching our family on it too, at the same time, like, hey, this is what this is our vision. This is our 120-page business plan. We've been working at this for a couple years now. And the family all said, okay, sounds great. You go do that. You know what I mean? And that's what we've done with a great team.
We did the pitching in 2021. And in 2019, our co-op almost went out of business. Our farm started getting overflow conventional pricing for upwards of 3 months, and we literally almost had to sell the cows. We called every cooperative cheesemaker, creamery, anyone from all the way down to Florida, to the Midwest, the New England states, and no one, even Canada, no one wanted our milk because at that time there wasn't a great milk market. And so they were just going to let our farm and the other farms on our milk route go out of business. COVID happened, the market became stabilized. We stayed in business. The cows stayed in business on the farm. So there was a need and an aggression to what can we really do. So when we did come forward with the business plan, we were already working for years. They were expecting it. They were trialing different products that we would bring. But they also had that sense of a need and an urgency at that time.
Mm-hmm. And to finalize your answer is I just turned 30 like a month ago, and Hayley is 28 now. So we did get Forbes 30 under 30 for 2024 because I was under 30. At the time it was our last year we could get it, so we were super stoked about it.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, what an honor, and just to be acknowledged and among your demographic, your age group, the whole millennial demographic as well. So it's so cool.
So I'm just going to fast forward to now, because in where we're just looking at some of the answers in prep for the interview. So you're currently in 2,000 stores across all 50 states.
Upwards of 2,200 now.
Yeah, over 2,200 stores. And it really started, again, we launched in March of 2022. We had, because it was right in the middle of COVID when we started this business, we had supply chain issues with our labels and stuff. So we had to hand label these cups. And so our first couple orders, like, what is it, like 60,000 yogurt?
60,000 cups of yogurt that went out the door. We only sold them to local mom and pops, Mennonite, Amish, country shops, because these are hand labeled yogurts up until August time. So we couldn't even like get big until then.
It was crazy. And we were at max capacity. You know, we said, hey, like, we have this issue. We can start. We finally got our first regional distributor, John F. Martin. They're a 4th generation family farm, based company, right? And we finally got this, and we're like, okay, well, it's going to be 3 months if we wait for the labels, or we can just do this ourselves and keep moving forward, right? So we called up the farm crew. We're like, hey, brothers, cousins, everyone, anyone that we know, please help us hand label yogurts, right?
FFA kids, they got out of school to help us.
Yeah, we tapped into our agriculture community through and through for this entire business. As we got our first grant to really help us start the business planning was through the Dairy Center of Excellence. We got our first grant to help pay for the consultants. My sister worked super hard on getting that, and basically scrapped enough money together to, we know we don't know, and we pay people that know more than us in certain areas so that we could have gotten where we've gotten so quickly at this point. You know what I mean? And so we're really excited. But yeah, so we launched into Giant, which is about 200 stores here in Pennsylvania. And we're like, whoa, now we're selling some yogurt. You know what I mean?
We thought we were, but we were still not hitting our minimums for a truckload of milk, right? This is the kind of problem in the dairy industry is a truckload of milk is typically 60,000 pounds of milk. And so that's what they, is an ideal number for a farmer to produce. Majority of farmers in the US don't produce that much, and Canada at a time. So those ones that don't kind of, you have to piecemeal them together and put them on one truckload. And then they like to sell milk in truckloads as well to processing plants and to dairy brands. And so for a startup like us to get started, we had to start with 60,000 pounds of milk. Now our co-manufacturer worked with us, so we were able to do 14,000 for the first couple months. And then we quickly ramped up to that 60,000, which is, 14,000 pounds of milk makes 14,000 cups of yogurt. And then you have 60-day shelf life. So really you have to move it within 2 weeks. So we had to grow fast, and we're like, all right, we're in this awesome chain in Pennsylvania, but we really need to get. And so we got a great call from 2 national companies, national distributors, and just started getting it out there and connecting with some awesome, really premium grocery stores.
Yeah. So within a couple months of launching, we were national with our yogurt through natural grocers. And then a couple months after that, we were really national with Sprouts Farmers Market. So there are about 400 locations nationwide. And then we were like, okay, well, dang, at this point, we've opened up this many distribution points. We need to make every single time we have a truck, every single time Painterland Sisters yogurt is on a truck going somewhere, we need to make the most value. So we need to put more yogurt on the truck. So that means we need to start saturating the stores around the distribution centers, right? So that we can become profitable. And so then we hired a national broker team to help us do that, to help us sell into different stores in different areas all across the country. They specialize in those certain areas, right? Every person's like, hey, I'm the broker. I have the relationship with natural grocers. I have the relationship with Sprouts. I have the relationship with these, another great partner for us is NCG, National Co-op Grocers. So it's a lot of independent stores that have come together to join forces for marketing power and buying power and different things. And so anyways, these were like, all these things were happening in tandem, and we had to figure them all out at once. And not to mention, like, as we grew faster, we needed more money, right? And as young women, it's harder to get investment as young women startup than if we weren't. So
did either of you have like business experience before this? Because this is what is so fascinating. Like, you come from where you came from, and then all of a sudden
the learning curve
created this opportunity for yourselves. So at what point were you like, holy cow, this is going somewhere. However, we're over our head. We need the money to build our team. And how did that building of that team look like? Because I just have to say, your branding is so incredible. Like, you guys, like, and we'll share the URL. Just go to these gals' website, because I just love it. It is so on brand with like the energy of your personality, as we know you both, and to go out with your packaging, like, it stands out on the shelf. So I just want to first say to your branding, like, kudos, whoever has done it.
Thank you. As far as like building our team and getting that growing and going, with that business plan, like, we spent from 2018 until 2021 really launching it and putting it together. So when we sold our first cup of yogurt, we went out and like tried to get as much as we could with consultants, with information. And so there's plenty of things each day, each second that we're learning and growing with. But because we like prepared and had like a good base, we had the resources. So when we have a question to ask or somewhere to pivot, we can do that with our team, our community, and our groups. And something Stephanie's always said is a lot of the business advice and planning, right, we get from other people. But we learned how to do that because we grew up on our farm. Watching farmers run a business is really working together with so many different, ideas, people, community members, aspects of it. And so we got to learn, we learned how to think outside the box. And if someone was already doing it a certain way, that was the way we weren't necessarily going to take. We're going to learn from them, ask for advice from so many different people, and then ultimately make the best decision that'll keep us unique but competitive. And that's kind of the tactic that we used along the way. We have, I believe, 8 employees now. We work with 2 awesome consultant groups for our finance team, because that's a team we definitely want fully loaded. We have marketing, sales, operations, impact, and customer experience, all internal. And as far as the branding, I'll let Stephanie take that away of kind of how we got to where we are and what we see there.
Yeah, and that is really important, like, especially as I'm raising my own kids now, like, hey, like, how did we kind of get here? Well, like Hayley said, we watched our parents. Like, a farm is a business. We watched them. We watched our grandparents, and we watched, like, hey, like, just try it. Just go out and shoot your shot, right? Like, get it figured out, and then rock and roll. Like growing up on a farm, like, pick up your pants and put on your boots and go.
Grab your cousin and do it with you, and you only fail if you stop.
We took that mentality. Like, I went to school for business, and then Hayley went to school for animal science, and she worked in business, with her internship. And anyways, we brought this, but again, I was 24 and she was 22. So talk about experience. Like, we didn't necessarily have experience in business. We were 24 and 22, you know what I mean? And so, like, we really just knew that we had to put ourselves out there, and we learn, and we're very open, and we have Grandma Painter calls it tuition expenses. Like when, you try, you make a mistake, and then you learn from that mistake for next time. That's paying tuition. So we knew we were going to pay tuition expenses, but we also knew that we wanted to pay the right people to help us. As Hayley stated, we knew how much we were going to need, and we built professionals into that. So we set ourselves up right away, for success. But our graphic design, our illustrators, our branding, I went on Instagram and I sent this graphic designer to Hayley. I'm like, Hayley, she's our look. She's it. And she was
and we didn't know what our look was. We just had this feeling.
We didn't even know what we were going to do. Like, we just wanted to put we were like, hey, fake it till you make it. We're like, let's put a brand out there. And we were going to sell meat and eggs and all the different things. So Hayley and Kelly and I, we worked so hard on that first rendition of our logo, of our label. We took a lot of time and pride into making sure that, it was us. Like, it represented that we have a clean, pure product, but it's also fun. It's owned by millennial women. And we want that differentiation.
We're going to put flowers on our yogurt cup because why not?
We can do what we want. And then as we started understanding the research side of things and, gathering data, again, just from conversations, we didn't know you could buy data and all this stuff, but you can. And 80% of the buying power on the store shelves is women, right? And all the yogurt, real dairy yogurt, looks like, because it mostly is, owned by men.
Plant-based, we got to admit, plant-based products are really fun marketed. Like, the branding in the plant-based world is just so cool because it's it's not a legacy industry. It's newer. It's more fun. It's interesting versus a lot of dairy brands are really well established, older. And so they haven't taken those new pivots in the marketing world.
Yeah, Hayley and I have not 1 inch of actual artistic ability. So yeah, Kelly is just the queen of just the whole look.
And then our marketing team is really awesome. So now we hire great people who have similar visions as us, who can take, our way of thinking, and it's a similar way of thinking that they have, so they can boost it out and what they're really great at. For instance, I'm great at taking raw footages of our cows grazing in the pasture. Stephanie's great at taking pictures of our kids running around with the cows and us being out there, but then they can put it together and make some awesome reels and connect it in a way that we can't, right?
Oh gosh. Okay. So what you go next?
What do each of your lives look like now as young female entrepreneurs? And are you doing and spending most of your time doing what you thought you would as in this growing business?
Yeah.
Or is it completely different? And be honest about, for each of you. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, so I have 3 kids, and I have a almost 7-year-old stepdaughter. I have a little girl who's turning 3 in a couple days on Earth Day, actually, and her name's Meadow. That just happened to be too perfect. And Meadowberry is one of our yogurt flavors. Savannah's Peach is another one. And then Wilder is my almost 7-month-old baby boy. And so anyways, I didn't necessarily plan on, one, being a stepmom or being a mother at the same time as creating this brand, but life does what life does. And so I've had to, I always thought, it was going to be Hayley and I living on the farm, doing this together and just going every weekend, anytime we could, to different organizations in different parts of the country, really promoting what we're doing here. And we still do that. It just looks different now because I have 3 kids, right? And so I live in Lancaster County in southern Pennsylvania, and I also live about half the time up at the farm. Hayley lives full-time at the farm, and I'll let her speak to her own story, but I know how important it is for me to bring my kids up to the farm as much as I can, because that's what gives me the passion to do what I'm doing. And anyway, so to tie it all up, things are crazier than I could have imagined. And we thought we were going to have a little farm stand or something. And now we have a national yogurt company, and we're sitting, Forbes 30 under 30 being mentioned on Congress floor. No, we didn't think this was going to happen. And we just try to do our best. I know like I'm not always answering my emails like timely. I'm not always, dinner's not always ready at 6. Like I can only do what I can do. And I try to balance it as much as I can. There's a lot of emails being, done at 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm up, feeding my baby. Right. And so that's how my life looks. It's, it's just crazy and I love it. And I'm grateful for everything, but I didn't really think that it would be like this.
The kind of crazy you can't plan for.
Beyond your wildest dreams,
Yeah.
kind of crazy, it sounds like. Yeah.
And Hayley, how about you? Paint us the picture.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, my biggest dreams are like, I love the cows aspect of it. And so it's always like, how can we really benefit these cows? How can we save these ladies? So I always thought like, we'll make it when we get cow scratchers for the cows. And we keep excelling in rotational grazing and bringing people to the farm. And we did 60 impact events in Pennsylvania, and a lot of them were based on the farm last year, but they were so improv'd that it's almost super stressful. It's like, oh yeah, more people want to come. The FFA kids, the giant company, the Secretary of Agriculture for the state. So you say yes to all of these things. You turn it around, you put a smile on your face. But the ideal thing, and really what will, give me a lot of passion, and Stephanie as well, this is like our next dream, and when it'll become like this full loop circle, is bringing people to the farm in an intentional way. So we got our yoga
teaching certificate. So the yoga and yoga thing.
Thank you. Yoga teaching certificate right before we started this company. And we just have this dream of bringing people back to the farm and having them experience it, while as well improving the livelihoods of our family, our community, and our cows. And so we are doing that, but really being able to spend that time on the farm, in the pastures, because right now we're like nose to the grindstone on the computer, like pushing out yogurt, driving stability. And so the goal right now is to get increase in velocity, keep the yogurts going, keep everyone happy, so we can get over that hurdle, have this stable yogurt company, a stable milk supply, so then we can be very intentional of being on the farm and connecting the world back to the farm in that way. So we're still not fully there. I live on the farm, but I live in above my parents' garage, right, in a one-room studio with... when I wrote my like high school, like, what are you going to do when you get older? It was like, I'm going to stay on the farm. I love my animals. I'm going to be a vet, and I'm going to have a cat sanctuary. So I take care of all the cats on the farm. I like help with the cow records, like keeping the cows pretty with their new ear tags and trying to keep them straight in a world of disorganizedness. So yeah, I think that's the next step for Stephanie and I, is like fully closing that loop, focusing on this right now so we can come back and be intentional on the farm.
Yeah.
Showing a little agritourism or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Like what we're able to do every time we get a cup of this yogurt into people's hands, it opens up the conversation about where our food comes from, about why it's important to know your farmer, about, why it's important to eat nutrient dense foods, and what it means to really, again, know your farmer for not just our bodies, our children's bodies, but future generations to come, and what Mother Earth looks like because we supported farmers with the food system. And so like as Hayley kind of mentioned, our thing is we want to bring people to the farm. We want to create that experience so they fully understand it. But every time we get that cup of yogurt out, it's glimpses of that, right? And we're able to talk now on like even, of course, like this is an amazing platform for us to be able to explain our story and explain about, the way we farm and what we've done. But we've really seen the need to continue to be a voice for farmers and for food brands at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
I'd like to know about your relationship with each other. Aaron and I, mother, daughter, it's not, unicorns and sunshine all the time.
No.
We each have differences of opinion. We each have different skill sets. We each have different
communication and fighting methods. And
we're reaching different seasons in our life as well. So, I mean, you girls are pretty close in age, but how do you envision ideas together. How do you settle?
Where do you butt heads and where?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and how do you get over it?
yeah.
Like we could waste a day sometimes just, not talking to you right now, and
Well, we'd still be productive. We just wouldn't be talking.
yeah, you're slamming the desk, and we don't do that anymore. But
No.
so tell us about your relationship with each other.
Yeah, it took a second to figure out how to not think like our 15-year-old selves fighting over a shirt. And that's not to say that that doesn't happen, but we've just like figured out how to have a better boundaries with our sister relationship and then our business relationship. And we got on a call this morning. We were working some of that stuff out. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, like when we're in a meeting, like some of my trigger points are X, Y, and Z. Can we please like try to respect that? Like, you know what I mean? Or, hey, maybe instead of kind of going back and forth on a meeting in front of our team, and not in a bad way, but just like as sisters do, like, hey, like, why don't you think about that? Why don't you think about that? Like, let's just take it offline and like talk to each other, So we're learning. I mean, today even like we're learning every single day how to work better together. And then also to like, if we're at, a birthday party with family or something, to like shut it off. In some ways, it's never like we do like sneaky stuff. Like we start talking about it and then
We only talk about exciting things at public family events. No things that are like, oh, I don't know. I know like that's going to be a talking point. It's more like, yeah, we're Forbes 30 under 30. All right, let's not talk about that new flavor we're launching because we haven't fully decided it yet. Like, I don't know which way we're going, where we should start. It's like the things that we're keeping it separate and putting our parameters up is a super important part. But, growing up, again, farm families, you already worked with your family, the importance of it, and knowing that that's going to be your best friend no matter what. It's also going to be your business partner no matter what. And so we had those boundaries growing up. And so I think we went into it knowing that. And we are also both very passionate people. Our whole family is like aggressively passionate. So the fact that we're going for the same thing, we know that the other person is going for the betterment of the same mission. So it's like taking a step back and being like, yeah, you're right. I see where you were coming from.
Yeah, it's been really fun. And Hayley, to your point, it's kind of taking that step back and saying we really love each other right now, but like we just don't like each other right now. So let's just take 5,
You guys are speaking our language. We look back. We've been together working for over 24 years, and obviously mother and daughter for 43. But it's such a amazing growth opportunity as business women, as best friends, as mother and daughter, and it's never ending. I mean, we've really honed our communication. We can finish each other's sentences, like we can read each other's minds.
We are killer at games like with family because
categories,
because we know you have each other's we just kill it every time. That whole competitive edge comes out there.
But it's beautiful too to be witnessed in person to the two of you. And I mean, obviously we don't know you like really, really well, but just in the couple times we've talked with each of you and heard your story and your enthusiasm and passion, but you can see the love between you. And I think just, it's so, I'll say inspiring, but it's beyond inspiring just to see what you guys are building together while maintaining this relationship. And man, like your future just looks so bright. It's so exciting to see where you guys are going to be in 2 years, 5 years. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? It's fun working with family. Like you said, like we go back and forth and we're like reading each other's brains, you know what I mean? And we don't even know it.
How many flavors do you guys currently have?
6 simply yummy flavors. And we have the single guys and like the big tubs.
Okay. What are some of the flavors?
Yeah, tell us the names.
Yeah, so Meadowberry is named after my daughter Meadow, and Savannah's Peach is named after my stepdaughter Savannah. Then we have a Blueberry Lemon, a Vanilla Bean, Plain, and Strawberry.
The big ones. So are those your 2 most popular flavors, the plain and vanilla?
Well, the vanilla is definitely a popular flavor, and then why we decided to do the larger size, it's more as a ingredient.
Like smoothies, or like you're going to use it as a base of whatever, if you're gonna have granola, or you can cook with it or bake with it. So those are like the two most popular in the big tubs. But like the small ones, people love the vanilla, and then they're gonna go after, depends on the city, right? Blueberry lemon is like a fan favorite in Pittsburgh. Whole Foods in the Mid-Atlantic stinking loves our strawberry for some reason. But you go to the West Coast and they're all about meadowberry.
Yeah, and then there's pockets of people with peach, you know what I mean? So it's very regional, like everyone's taste buds.
Peach is about to take over. It's like our newer flavor, and it is like, it's getting up there.
Okay. Well, and I love watching your Instagram too, because you're constantly like, how can I incorporate like skyr into my meal or dinner? And so it's so versatile, right?
We can't take credit for that. Our marketing manager, Katie, is awesome. Our director of marketing is awesome. Like we worked with Kelly to build the base of our branding, but they're getting out our message. You know, they're getting out Painterland Sisters message in fun ways, not just like, yeah, Katie did like Katie in the kitchen, you know, like she manages our brand ambassadors and Moo Crew members.
So it's like people in our communities can sign up to basically get free yogurt and pass out free yogurt. And if they see a cool opportunity, they can just ask us if like, hey, this is opportunity. Like, can I be a Painterland sister on your behalf and like engage in my community in this way? And we're like, oh.
And set up at a yoga studio, you know, can I sling yogurts? We say sling yogs. Can I sling yogs at this yoga studio? You know what I mean? And we're like, yeah, sure. And so we pay them, you know, to support them, and we provide them with the materials, like the marketing materials to do that. And so it's a really cool organic marketing. Like we are up against 10 companies in the world own 90% of the brands on the store shelves, right? So this doesn't leave room for consumers to engage in, you know, to basically just have a choice, right? And anyways, so what we really try to do is having to go up against them, but like in a way where we have a small budget comparatively in this legacy industry of dairy.
In a grassroots way.
Grassroots, organic, like let's just sling some yolks.
Totally. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple questions left, but this one really would love to just share this story. So we asked you, think of stories or events in your life that have shaped you to be the women that you are today. We'd love to hear. And so you started off by, I'll just read the first couple sentences. Our grandpa was a jolly man with a twinkle in his eye and a giggle in his voice. He didn't get worked up about little things unless it had to do with the well-being of his cows. He had an old farm truck that was covered in dirt and dents. Can you guys share that story? Because when I read it, I had tears in my eyes. Yeah, it was just so heartfelt.
Yeah.
So he had an old farm truck that was covered in dirt and dents because he didn't really care about that kind of stuff, right? Didn't matter if it was a brand new truck, it was going to be covered in dirt and dents. And he always had a back seat full of us fourth generation kids. Now in the fifth generation, there's 27 of them. So he'd fill the truck up with kids, and we would drive around the land, and we were all aggressive farm kids. So we'd start screaming, and we were not fun to carry around. And he would go so slow, and we never understood why, when we're acting like, you know, monkeys and hooligans in the back, why is he going so slow? So we'd get so annoyed at him and be like, oh, grandpa, I don't want to ride with grandpa. But he loved it. And now when we have left the farm and are coming back to it, we now drive slow by those same fields and those same roads, and now we're seeing what he's looking at. He was looking at, you know, the land, his pride, the past years, his cows. Like he was doing it with the noise of chaos of his family in the back, you know, and that company with him. And so we now do that same thing, and we see what he really appreciated. He passed away before we started Painterland Sisters, but he was like a driving force of how our farm came from one farm to, he grew it to, so like he involved a lot of the community and grew it to be a stable, diversified farm. He started an ethanol still. He started the grazing. He switched it to organic, along with our grandma and, of course, his boys who were there to support him. But he was really a visionary person, and he had a lot of support. And so he talked to Stephanie and I and all of us kids about, you know, what can we do on the farm? And he would throw around crazy ideas. And now we realize when we talk to people, there's not a lot of people that want to throw around crazy ideas with you. And so we just love that we're following some of those crazy ideas that we talked to him about. And we now drive slow, appreciating the land and the animals and the family, because that's what makes us rich, right? It's not about money, because farmers don't have money. It's about that.
I could just weep.
I know. It's such a special story.
Yeah. And having the conversation that we had prior to this, how he's left his legacy in you, and you're carrying forward, your grandpa's spirit. And that's those are the things that matter in life, that life is made out of, because money does come and go, and other relationships outside family can come and go, but to have that solidified inside of you, that's just really cool.
And to be anchored in that. And I think no matter how huge this company grows for you guys, you'll know and you'll feel and you'll be like that, rooted in this generation of farmers and the family that surrounds and supports you. And it's just, what an incredible thing that you have built. We can't wait to watch you just have it explode to that next level.
Yeah.
And what does that agritourism look like for you?
Yeah.
And how many more flavors and what?
And get it up to Canada.
And get it up
Come
Canada.
on.
Help us with that part.
We'll try. We'll have to send you some.
What do we have to do? Let us know. Yeah.
We call it like a sisterhood that we're extending, because like you said, family doesn't come and go. A lot of other people do. But as we meet people who are like family, we extend them into our sisterhood so we can always be attached. And our employees, we feel like our family. And, now you guys are an extension of that sisterhood.
So it's going between Sisterhood, but then when we were at Expo West and we had cows coming on stage for a pitch, we were like, oh, well, this is a sister herd. A sister herd. Let's gather.
So to our listeners out there, grab our summer issue 15 with Stephanie and Hayley. Their photos, the whole feature story spread is
just going to
incredible.
pull you right in.
Yeah. Okay. What are your links, URLs? Where can people buy your skyr? What's your Instagram? Like, plug away, please.
Cool. So you can go on Instagram, Facebook, Painterland Sisters. Go on our website, painterlandsisters.com. There's a where to buy page. You can click in your zip code and it'll point to stores near you. We, again, are in all 50 states. So we've really focused on not just the big retailers, but also where we're from, the mom and pops of the world, the nooks and crannies, the independent groceries. Yeah, find our yogurt near you.
And if you want to be a Moo Crew member, you just send us a message, and it's Painterland Sisters. We never pronounce our name the right way. We're like painters instead of painters.
I was actually going to say, after Stephanie, you were like Painterland, but I'm like, I'm going to Painterland, because you trill it off your tongue. And I know that some people are like, what is she saying?
What was that? What?
Remember the cows and cousins I was talking about? So we do have, I went to a restaurant the other day and they're like, oh my gosh, are you from Georgia? And I was like, no, I'm from Northern Pennsylvania. Got a little bit of a country twang in there.
You do.
You do. This has been a complete honor and pleasure, and to share your story. You're both true trailblazers, and just thank you for being here and for your time.
Yes, we've just loved it. Okay.